5 years ago, my 36-year-old spouse departed from this life. It's just the two of us now. My wife died while my daughter, Sophia, was a teenager. Her family provided a lot of assistance and support. My sister-in-law Claire, 37, had lost her husband to prostate cancer at the same time my wife passed away. At the time, we grew close, and I believed our connection to be platonic. I was very clear in saying that I was not ready for a relationship, particularly not with my wife's family. The birthdays of Sophia and Claire are 5 days apart, however Sophia's is the first. I bought Sophia a car for her birthday. She's been doing great at home and school, so I knew she'd wanted it for a long time. I texted Claire a happy birthday instead of getting her anything for her birthday. This infuriated Claire to the point where the following day she told me I was a fool for not getting her anything and instead buying a car for a teenage girl. I informed her that Sophia was my daughter and that I would undoubtedly get her a birthday present. She didn't get me anything for my birthday either, so I didn't think it would be a problem either. Claire eventually confided in her entire family about the circumstances. I texted her a lengthy message informing her that I wasn't her spouse and that I owed her nothing. My mother-in-law informed me that since I am the only person who can help her throughout her ongoing grief, I shouldn't have spoken anything to her. When I inquired around, I was informed I was the one who was stupid. Since I believe I did nothing wrong, I genuinely don't think I am. Your daughter is priority number 1 through 5. Everything else starts at priority 6. And some women you're legally related to but not actually related to losing an opposite gender spouse makes for a great rom-com movie setup but not the basis for an actual relationship, especially if you're not interested. Not the idiot. What did your sister-in-law get your daughter or your mother-in-law? Nothing. What about mother-in-law, father-in-law, and the rest of sister-in-law's family? I'm a little concerned that your sister-in-law is jealous of your teen daughter over a birthday present. And you're not grieving, you're also not her only support since people were calling you on her behalf when she complained to them about this. Grief doesn't excuse treating people like that. Sadly, the people that are enabling her are even worse. That's the funniest part, LMAO. She wanted a car-level gift from you and got you nothing. At least try, Claire. As for your mother-in-law, that comment about being your sister-in-law's only support right now is strange and manipulative. For starters, doesn't mother-in-law consider herself part of the support system? But even without that, it's very strange that a 37-year-old woman has nothing in the way of friends or family to support her, so maybe that text gives an indication as to why. Claire's text to you was utterly ridiculous and rude. On what planet does she compare to your daughter? It's time to step back from the sister-in-law because she's introducing herself into your immediate family. They both lost their spouses around the same time. However, why does he have to be her support system, especially when he has a daughter to support? I'm not trying to be callous with this comment, but even after 5 years, she still needs a large support network for her grieving. I, a 36-year-old woman, married Jeff, a 39-year-old man, 2 years ago. He has a daughter, Alicia, a teen from his previous marriage, and I have a tween from my previous marriage, Morgan. Alicia is not close to either of us. When Morgan and I moved in with her and Jeff, she tried to control where we could and couldn't go, what areas I was allowed to redecorate and put my furniture in, what room Morgan got, etc. Her mom is healthy and alive, and Alicia sees her once a week. Jeff asked us to be more patient, and she eventually did come around, but she still tries to control other aspects of Maya and Morgan's lives. I had a mill. Morgan's birthday was 2 days ago. We planned to celebrate at a restaurant and let Morgan choose which one. She picked a really nice restaurant that isn't over-the-top expensive, and we agreed the party would be there. However, when Alicia heard which restaurant we were going to, she went off on Morgan and me and said that we couldn't go to that restaurant because she had tons of memories of her perfect old family there and she won't let us take the memory for her. I found this beyond illogical and unreasonable. I told her she could stay home, but it wasn't about her being there, it was about the idea of Morgan and me being there with Jeff as a family when it used to be her mom, and Jeff. We got into an argument, and Jeff told me to tell Morgan just to pick another restaurant, but I snapped and told him Alicia had no right to dictate where my daughter and I went, and he shouldn't be encouraging her. He told me he wasn't encouraging anything, just trying to keep all parties satisfied. He told me to get Morgan to change the restaurant, or he won't go. That was it for me. I decided I wasn't going to change it just because they wanted me to, and ended up going with Morgan to celebrate with just my mom. Morgan, of course, felt upset her stepdad missed her birthday celebration. When I pointed this out to him, he argued that I gained nothing by insisting on this particular restaurant and upsetting Alicia, who's refusing to speak to any of us, even him, and ruins his relationship with Morgan. I said it was Morgan's choice, but he said I was the adult in this situation and failed to navigate it. Am I the idiot for still going to the restaurant, although Alicia forbids us from it? I just wanted to make Morgan feel like she had a say and a right to spend her birthday however she wanted. Jeff is abdicating his role as a father to appease his daughter. He either lacks the will or the courage to take her in hand. He's the one that ruined his relationship with Morgan. He chose to appease Alicia over celebrating Morgan on Morgan's birthday. He's not a good father. Not the idiot. Tell your husband he needs to be an adult and a parent and not let a teenager run his life. That being said, is Alicia seeing a counselor at all? If not, it sounds like she could really benefit from some professional help. Alicia's on a power trip and trying to exert control over you and Morgan. Agree, I'm very concerned about this kid and the parenting happening here. At that age, parents have 1, maybe 2 years left to prepare their kids for the real world. This kid does not appear in any way prepared for real life, and dad is doing them active harm by not responding appropriately. Alicia is very wrong, she's mourning her perfect family. She hasn't seemed to accept that her father's moved on. It sounds like Alicia and dad can both use some family therapy. Everyone's the idiot here. You're right that she doesn't get to dictate your life, but I don't see any empathy or consideration for a child that has had major upheavals in her life, only scorned that she's illogical and unreasonable. This isn't about logic or reason, it's about a child who feels out of control, unloved, and unsafe. There are a lot of conflicts here and no empathy or concern. You and Jeff are adults, act like it. Okay, this doesn't sound good, but hear me out. My toddler was invited to her preschool classmate's birthday party at an indoor playground. We did arrive 10 minutes late since we got lost trying to find a place, but we happened to arrive at the same time as 2 other families, so that it could have looked planned. The birthday boy's mom was irritated because we missed a treasure hunt. Unfortunately, there was no schedule given, so I didn't realize it would be a big deal if we were 10 minutes late or would have rushed more. We all did make sure our kids wished the birthday boy happy birthday and passed him his presents, but they immediately ran towards the train ride once they were done. It turns out the mom wanted to organize a group photo shoot with the kids, so she was annoyed they ran off. The kids then could do whatever they liked for maybe 10 or 15 minutes before we had to follow the itinerary. We didn't realize we had. The kids had 2 group rides, which always came with a photo shoot before each ride. Then they were free to play for another 5 to 10 minutes before going for another photo shoot with the cake. Then the parents had to take photos. Our country still had indoor mask mandates, but we were told it's legal to have the mask off for photos and we were ordered to take off our mask. Then we had the cake cutting and another round of photos before food was served. It hasn't even been 2 hours, and we've had 4 photo taking sessions, taking up almost an hour. My daughter didn't want to eat, and I could see she was losing it, especially since there was a spread of beautifully decorated desserts that weren't offered to anyone at all, so I wouldn't let her touch them. We'd already had 2 meltdowns in the last 10 minutes, so I reasoned that I should just leave before I ruined the party. However, my daughter's departure sparked the requests of her 2 friends, which in turn sparked the demands of even more kids, resulting in the party being cut short by 30 minutes. The mother is obviously upset with me, and yes, I did ruin the party, but I also knew that if my daughter left, there was a chance I would set off that snowball effect. Additionally, while I agree that it's my responsibility as a parent to ensure my child behaves, I think she had been doing a great job of not running off and doing her own thing. I concluded that my child definitely feels the same way because I found the entire party to be quite stressful and unfunny. Am I one of those entitled moms here? I can't imagine how little kids with the attention span of, well, little kids would feel about such a staged and choreographed birthday party. P.S. When you left, I bet every other mom thought, thank God, now we can go. This wasn't a child's birthday party, this was some Instagram mom's photo op. The whole day sounds hideous to me as an adult. We're all trying to do the best we can, and it sounds like you did. Don't lose sleep over this one. The birthday child's mum seems like a helicopter mum who needs to chill out. What activity starts and ends with the first 10 minutes of a toddler's party? So strange. You aren't responsible for other kids wanting to leave because yours does. That's on those parents. You might as well put 20 cats in a room and expect them to behave. And points to you for taking your child out of the room before the meltdown. That is responsible parenting, and it is becoming increasingly rare. Good Lord, who expects a bunch of toddlers to keep a schedule? I'm a 27-year-old woman who will marry a 27-year-old man in a little less than 3 weeks. The planning has gone flawlessly, and I'm thrilled for the big day. My maid of honor is my best friend Cassie, with whom I've been friends since we were 10 years old. She is genuinely one of the loveliest people I've ever encountered and has supported me through everything. She has been so helpful in organizing this event, and I wouldn't trade her for anything. They've only been together for over a year and a half, so I hope she warms up to me a little over time. However, I've never been the biggest fan of her girlfriend Sophie. I always show her respect and try to include her in things, but she's a huge introvert, and sometimes it can come off as disrespect in return, according to Cassie's own words. Sophie came up to me a few days ago and asked if I would mind if she proposed to me during my reception. She said it would be a great way for Cassie and I to get closer, with our weddings linked and everything, but really, we don't need any more time to get closer. I love Cassie, but I wouldn't let anyone do that, so I shot the idea down right away. Then Sophie got all grumpy with me and walked out the door, saying something like, "I don't need your permission anyway. I went to Cassie because I thought she had tried anyhow," and she was obviously furious. I've never seen her so upset, but she was furious, apologizing profusely and saying she couldn't believe Sophie would ever consider doing anything like that. So was the end of our talk. But 2 days later, I received a call from Sophie again, berating me for ruining her plan to pop the question and telling me that Cassie would be attending the wedding alone and not talking to her at the moment. I couldn't help but worry that this wasn't the whole story, so I called Cassie, who was a complete mess, staying with her parents at the moment, and had disinvited Sophie as her +1 because she was afraid Sophie would have proposed if given the chance. She didn't want to ruin my wedding, so I told her to come stay with me for a while. A few hours later, still a complete mess, she arrived, telling me that she and Sophie had a big argument and that she was thinking about whether or not to stay in this relationship. Cassie claims that these arguments happen frequently. Cassie has been pulling herself together in front of me and is still great at last-minute tasks, but I've noticed that she cries when I'm not around. I love her and don't want her to resent me for this, so I need to know if I'm the idiot here and if there's anything I can do to make her feel better. I feel terrible for ruining her proposal and possibly ruining her relationship. Not the idiot. I feel like you wouldn't have mentioned anything to Cassie if Sophie had politely declined and left the conversation. However, her spiteful "I don't need your permission anyway" was petty, conceited, and entitled. It's your wedding, and it sounds like Cassie fully respects that. Sophie was wrong. It's never a good idea to pop the question at someone else's wedding, and you were right to tell her that you didn't want her to. Sophie reacted inappropriately, and I don't blame you for going to Cassie to make sure it didn't happen anyway. The arguments they've been having, including this one, are on them. If Sophie can't maintain stability in the relationship, that was never your fault. Since you were the main cause of their breakup, I can understand your guilt, but the final straw is never the only one. It was bound to happen sooner or later. You unintentionally did Cassie a great favor. The other day, my 24-year-old girlfriend got a new dog. It's a huge, 120-pound Great Dane. I, at 23, realized that I'm not really into animals, especially dogs, but since we don't live together, I figured I could get over my feelings about it. As a result, the dog ended up becoming like a kid to her. She never wants to spend the night at my place because she can't bear to leave the dog, and when I visit, she's essentially only interested in the damn dog. We were getting ready for bed at night, and I wanted to spend some alone time with her, but she wouldn't let the dog out of the room because apparently it has anxiety and doesn't like being alone when it can hear or smell her nearby. So I went over last night to spend the weekend with her for our anniversary. So I gave up on the alone time and just wanted to sleep, and while I was getting ready for bed, my girlfriend's dog got into my room and took up the whole space, making it impossible for me to lay down. I tried moving it, but it wouldn't go, so in the end, she gave up. I texted her a few hours later to ask where I was, and she told me home. We got into an argument about me leaving for our anniversary. I asked her where I was supposed to sleep, and she said I could sleep on the floor or her couch in her living room. So I went into the living room, sat on the couch, realized how stupid this was, and went home. I told her I wasn't envious because she devotes all of her time to an animal, but she accused me of being jealous of a dog. Am I that stupid? Not the moron. It sounds like your partner and the dog might benefit from some expert dog training. Reminding a dog to get off the bed and then giving up will not cure the anxiety and will ultimately cause more harm than good. I would have gone home as well. If I want to crash on a couch or the floor, I'll go to a friend's house, not my partner's. If she can't get her dog out of bed on your anniversary, it's clear that she doesn't value your relationship or you highly enough. She's effectively forcing you to terminate it. Yes, I agree. My dog is a 60-pound golden retriever, and there wouldn't be enough place for him, my fiancé, and me in my bed. A Great Dane is a whole dog. I apologize, but it appears that Scooby-Doo stole your girlfriend.